started. Thanks, Ian, for joining. Ian's always my trusty sidekick who helps keep all the questions and comments all in order while we're doing it. We do get a lot of questions, so I think my next slide is the housekeeping thing. So yes, we will be recording this session, and it'll automatically get emailed to you after, and we'll have it up on YouTube as well. And you can always go to shiftcare.com/webinars to see any previous webinars that we've ever done, as well as any upcoming webinars. While I'm talking about upcoming webinars, we have a webinar tomorrow for support at home. So if you are a business that's thinking about or will be doing support at home, definitely worth having a look at that one. Again, if you go to shiftcare.com/webinars, you can register for it there. If you just go to shiftcare.com, though, it's up in resources, then webinars, you can see it there. Definitely worth, and there'll be a banner for that after this webinar. With the chat as well, so definitely be mindful that it can get really hard if you use the chat to ask questions, because it gets all full of people talking and stuff like that. So it'd be better if you use the Q&A section. So there's actually a Q&A button on your Zoom at the bottom. If you can't see it, click the More button and you'll find Q&A there. Please ask your questions in there. It's really important. Otherwise, we may not answer your question. This is me. I'm operations manager and customer experience manager. Kind of made up titles, but I just do a bunch of stuff and try to make sure we're doing everything we can to get the software to you guys that works. This is what we want to talk about today. So every month I do a webinar now to go over the features that we released in the last month. I've been working at ShiftCare for 3 years, and I can tell you, when I first started here for the first year, if we did a monthly feature release, we probably would be lucky if we were talking about one thing, maybe two, and a couple of little fixes here and there. But at the moment, it's just absolute lightning speed in what's happening. So these are all the features that we released in September. And these will be the things that I'm going to cover off one by one and talk to you guys about today. So yeah, I'll go over those, and then of course we have a Q&A at the end where you can ask questions about anything, and I'll answer to the best of my ability. This is what's coming soon as well. I just wanted to add this. This is what we have in our roadmap at the moment for the next month. So improved data restrictions means that at the moment, when we do have a data access feature where you can say, oh, I want my staff to only see clients that are in their team. And what that really means is that they can only see the data within their profile, but they can still see their name, but they can't see their phone number and all that kind of stuff. We're going to tighten that up. So if they're not in the team, they don't even know they exist in ShiftCare, essentially. They won't show on the scheduler, they won't show in the client list, and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a really good improvement to data restrictions. SHADS alerts improvements. I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to hear about this. By the way, please do feel free to write comments in the chats, what you love, what you hate, hype it up if you love it, tell us you love it, because I do love to see the feedback. It feels like I'm just talking to myself when I'm doing this. So yeah, feel free to write updates in the chat. So yeah, the SHADS alerts, we know that they're pretty noisy. You get a lot of alerts. You get alerts about stuff sometimes that you don't want to get alerts for. So it'll be like, you need to put bed linen for a sleepover and stuff like that. So we're going to be allowing you to choose what alerts you want. You can sort of choose which alerts you're going to get notified about. So that should help make it more validated, like more important. When you see an alert, you're like, okay, I need to look at that. Locations. So we have this sort of semi-done feature called locations. We're going to finish rolling it out. What it's essentially going to let you do is say, I run an office in Brisbane and Melbourne. When it's daylight savings, that's a real problem because ShiftCare doesn't deal well with multiple time zones. with this locations feature, you will be able to do that. So you'll be able to have staff and clients assigned to locations. You'll be able to view the scheduler by that location, and you'll only see those staff and clients. And then you'll be able to do public holidays and pay rates and invoicing based on public holidays for those locations. So that's a pretty cool feature that we'll be doing. Facilities, we always talked about facilities when we built it, that it was just the start. So we're going back to put those further improvements there. When you add tasks and forms and stuff to a facility, when you create a shift, it'll bring that into those facilities. So into those shifts. So yeah, we're looking to make that next step on facilities. Weekly SIL invoicing. This is a really highly requested feature. At the moment we don't deal well with weekly SILs. So like if you bill with that one line item for a weekly SIL, it can be a bit weird. So we're going to support being able to do weekly SIL invoicing essentially. Client care and matching. This one's really cool. There's a lot of we've been going back and forth about this one, and we're trying to make sure it's really cool out of the box. But essentially, you'll be able to sort of put restrictions on clients and say, look, I only want staff that have these qualifications, that they're not going to travel too far from a previous shift because they've got to pay provider travel. And yeah, I want to see a list of which carers are going to be best matched for this client. So yeah, that's a pretty cool feature that we're going to have. It's going to help with the rostering side of things and make better decisions on the fly. So yeah, that's what's coming soon, but let's talk about what we've currently got. I'll move this over to my other side. So I've got my list here. Now, let's start. I'll just start from the top and work my way down. So my invoice payment sync, look, that's probably not one I can really demo, but essentially it is when it's the same as what Xero does now. If you send an invoice over to MyOb, and that invoice is sent to the client from MyOb, and then they pay it and you mark it as paid in MyOb, it will then sync that payment back into ShiftCare. So you can keep track of what invoices have been paid in ShiftCare instead of having to go into MyOb to see that. 2FA for mobile, look, same sort of thing. I'm not really going to demo it. Essentially, we have two-factor authentication. One of the restrictions that we had with that was that if you were an admin that also wanted to use the app, you couldn't set up 2FA because you couldn't log into the app. You can now. It'll send the email and give you the code, and you can put the code in. We're also, I think there's some work coming through. I didn't put it in my list, but I know that there's some work coming through to force 2FA on all your entire organization. So that's probably something more for overseas markets at the moment, but definitely if in Australia, if that's something you're concerned about, you will be able to force all your staff to have to use 2FA. So that's going to be an improvement to that too. Group clients in a team. Yeah, this one's pretty cool. So previously, when you went to Teams and you went to list and you went into create a team, you could only add staff in bulk. You couldn't add clients in bulk here. So instead now you can go, you can create a team and then you can come through and start selecting multiple clients. So before you had to go into each client and then click edit, add the team, save, go to the next client. It was real painful. So now we've added this, just a nice little improvement to the Teams functionality. You'll also find now Teams is under both staff and clients. So you can access the Teams from both menus now. Administrators editing submitted forms. So yeah, that was, I think I spoke about this in the last webinar I did about the incident and incident forms to tickets webinar. And if you didn't know that I did that webinar, please go and check it out. Again, shiftcare.com/webinars. I did a webinar on how you can do incident forms that create an incident ticket automatically and stuff like that. And one of the things I spoke about during that is the ability to, when you get an incident response, you can go into it and then you can click edit and you can actually change the response now if you need to. Maybe they wrote something inappropriate, maybe they made a mistake, but also you could have an incident form where you have a bunch of questions, and then at the bottom you have like an admin section. And so the carer doesn't fill that out. You fill that out after. So you'll be able to come into the response and then fill it out and submit it and change it. So it kind of gives you that ability to have a two-step form now. Family portal shift note formatting. So that's why I had the family portal open before. Look, it's just a simple thing. Before the formatting of the notes on the family portal wasn't great. We've made that a lot better now. You've got headers, it separates incidents and multiple notes and stuff like that. If you're not using family portal, if you don't know what family portal is, it's a way for family members to see what shifts their family member has or the client has, depending on who it is that you give access. And they'll be able to look at a schedule and they can see all the shifts in the schedule, and then they can request services if you want them to. And it's just a way of not having to print out rosters and send it all the time to clients or their family and stuff like that. Definitely look at Family Portal if you're not already using it. It's included in the premium plan. It's not an additional cost. It was an additional cost for Connect, which is our old version of Family Portal. So I would definitely look at that if you're on the premium plan and you're still using Connect. I would look at Family Portal for sure. Zero tracking categories. This was a hugely requested feature for years. So Xero has this feature called tracking categories. It's a way for you to build reports and stuff in Xero so that you can track either income or expenses, i.e. payroll, against certain tracking categories. And so in our Xero here, you'll see I've got location and branches, and then underneath each of them, I have the different categories of a branch. So there's your branches, these are your branches, and then in location, these are your locations. And so in ShiftCare, we have the ability on the Xero integration now to go into it and to go over here to tracking categories, and you can click set now, and you can set these categories. So you can say, okay, I want to track my invoices. I want to send the price book as a branch, or I want to send the shift type as a location. And yeah, you can do two for an invoice because Xero supports two tracking categories per line item, and you can only do one for timesheets. So you might go, yeah, for shift type, I want to track it to location. So yeah, it's really flexible. It lets you do 3 different types of mapping. I am going to be doing a webinar in a couple of weeks on the Xero integration, on our new Xero integration. And I probably should stop calling it the new Xero integration because it's been out for a while now. But if you're not using the current Xero integration, you're still using the old one, you should definitely join this webinar. But even if you are using the current one, maybe you just want to have a look over how you're doing Xero, because I'm going to go through it from scratch. I'm going to build I'm going to build a new ShiftCare account, a new Xero account, and I'm going to show you how to build up set pay items in Xero. I'm going to do the whole lot. So keep your eye out for that. We'll definitely be putting banners up and stuff like that to tell people about it. But and we'll be sending emails. But yeah, that's what's coming up. View timesheets on mobile app. That's a pretty cool feature. So on the left-hand side, we've now got a My Timesheets here, and your staff can look at their pay periods. So this is the current pay period. This is last week, if I were to look at it. And you can see that there's different options here. There's not started, scheduled times approved, not started, and all that kind of stuff. So that's the statuses of the shift. That is configurable to whether you show, like you can't turn off showing the timesheets, but you can turn off whether to show the status of the timesheets. So that's this setting in the account settings under time and attendance, show timesheet approval status. So that means it just won't show the words not started or scheduled times approved and stuff, because some people don't approve their shifts. But essentially, I mean, it's not showing them any information they didn't already have in regards to the fact that they could already see all their shifts in the scheduler, but at least they can see it in a really clear list based on a pay period, and they can see how many hours they had. So it just makes it easier for them when they get their pay slip to just say, oh, I thought I did more shifts than that, and they can see all the shifts that they did. And yeah, it's a really highly requested feature as well. All right, what's next? Break time tracking. Yeah, so this was one that we launched earlier in the month. So essentially you do need to come into account and settings and enable a setting to turn on this new feature, break time tracking. Be aware that it is a one-way enable, and once you turn it on, you can't turn it off. So make sure that it is the direction you want to go. What it essentially does is previously we had a field on each shift just said break time in minutes, and you would just put a number in it. So you would say 30-minute break or an hour break. And that's fine. Like what that did was if the shift was a 5 hour shift, it would pay the staff member 4 hours. And so, took an hour break, 4 hours, that's fine. Some of the issues with that was I need to track that they actually took the breaks. I need to tell them what time to take the breaks. I have multiple staff on the shift and not all of them have a break. With that one, it would give everybody a break in that case in the old version. So there are a whole difference and bunch of scenarios of why you needed a bit more in-depth version of break tracking. And also you might be doing paid breaks like you do with the Shads Award, where you say, look, you can have a paid break for 30 minutes and eat with the client, then I don't have to give you an unpaid break, but you still might need to display or show Fair Work in the future that you were rostering those 30-minute paid breaks and that the staff were having those paid breaks or having those meal breaks with the client. That's going to enable you to do that with this feature. So I'll show you briefly how it works. Obviously, for any of these features, there are articles on these features on the help. So you go help.shiftcare.com and you look up the articles. But yeah, I'll briefly go over it. So essentially, we've got a shift. Let's look at what time is it? It's 12. So let's do this shift here. And we go into edit and advanced edit. And then you've got this new, so no longer do we have the field over on the left-hand side that says 30 minutes on the left-hand side here. Instead, we've got break time and it's under each carer. So you've got, if you've got 2 carers, then there's 2 break times available. And so you can set breaks for each individual carer. And so if I then say, okay, well, this is a 1 hour shift from 1 to 2 p.m., I want you to take a paid break of 10 minutes between 1:10 and 1:20. But I also want you to have a 20-minute unpaid break between 1:30 and 1:50. That's how you would put that in. And so I'll hit save on that. If I now go into the app and I refresh and I open this shift up, it'll show me the break times here. So it says I've got a 10-minute paid break and I've got a 20-minute unpaid break. If I clock in, this is medication tracking, which we'll go into after as well. There's a section here for start break. You can also click into the break, or you can click start break. I thought you could click into the break, but maybe start break. It shows you the break times here, so I can say, yes, I'm starting my my paid break now. And then when I'm finished the break, I can click on end break. It will then ask you to just confirm it if there's any notes with it. So one of the things I sort of said is staff are going to forget to like press the button and press it again, so they can change it and go, oh, I actually forgot, like I actually came back from my break 10 minutes ago, so I'll change that to 12:05 or whatever. So they can put that in and they can put their notes in and hit end break. If they don't end their break and they try to clock out, it won't, it'll say you've got to say why didn't you take your break, essentially. So yeah, if I try to clock out of this shift, it's having a good think about it. So it says, hey, planned break was not taken. You can either say, oh, log break, I forgot, I need to log my break, or you put your reason in why you didn't take a break, because essentially that may have implications on your payroll. You may have to pay the staff member overtime or something like that because they didn't take their break. So yeah, that's break tracking. Yeah, Sarah's saying she's loving the break tracking. That's awesome. Yeah, break tracking is pretty cool. They did a good job with it. One-off shift bonuses. So this one's an interesting one. So let's say that I put this shift here up onto the job board. I don't think that there's going to be a huge use case for this in Australia, but it is there. It is an option to do it. Got to remember how to do it. Oh yeah, it's up here in the time and location. So if I'm putting this up on the job board and nobody wants to do this shift, it's quite a fair way out. The client's difficult. Maybe the staff just aren't that keen on doing it, or maybe it's just at a really crap time. Maybe there's, grand final weekend, no one wants to work. I can put in a shift bonus. So I can click on here and I can say, I'll give $20 extra cash incentive if you do this shift. So I hit save on that, put that up on the job board. And so if I'm now in the app and I go to job board, I can see that this shift has a bonus of $20 on it for doing it. And if I take that shift, oh yeah, I didn't have that on my list, the updates to recurring shifts. That's because it hasn't been released yet. Yeah, this is just in a test mode. You may have noticed there, that's a little flag of something we're working on, having recurring shifts up on the job board. So I was able to, previously when I moved this job board up, this shift up to the job board, it would have only added the singular shift, like you only had the option to just move one shift up, where we're adding the ability to put recurring shifts up onto the job board. And then when the carer takes the shift, they can choose whether or not they're taking the one shift or they want to take the recurring shift. That's something we're working on at the moment, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I got distracted there. So if we go back to my schedule, I'm pretty sure this shift, yeah, I thought it did. I thought it still showed the bonus $20, but yeah, I'll have a check on that. It used to still show the bonus $20 here, so I'll check whether that's still working. But yeah, the staff member will be. It's important to note though, one thing with that is that I was on the second. That might be why. No, still the same. If you do put a bonus on a shift like that, it's really important to note that by putting that bonus on there, that doesn't actually pay them the $20. Like payroll systems require you to add allowances and things like that. So you still need to make sure that when you put the $20 on there, that you also have an allowance for that. So you might have an allowance called $20 bonus, and then you would add it to this list. So you would create an allowance called $20 bonus, and that would be added to the shift. When that gets synced with your timesheets, it'll add that pay item, which you will have set up in your Xero or whatever as a $20 payment item. So that's how that would work. Print calendar for clients / staff. Yeah, so this is kind of like, family portal's great. Definitely, I would strongly recommend using family portal, but at the same time, not everyone can use family portal. Might have a staff member, a client, or family who are great with technology. They don't want to use a computer. They struggle getting on their phones and all that kind of stuff. So you need to just keep printing out rosters for them and sending it with their shifts every week or every 2 weeks. And so, yeah, we've added the ability now when you go into a client, and you go into their calendar, you can go in and you can click up here and go print calendar, and it shows in a much more print friendly version. And you can put date ranges in, and you can hit print down the bottom, and you can, if you're using, if you want to save it as PDF, you can use the old save as PDF and send it to them via email or something like that. But yeah, obviously, depending how many shifts, it's going to have to go into multiple pages. This is probably not a great example of a client because normally they won't have this many shifts on a day. But yeah, it's pretty cool though. Hopefully, that's helped a lot of people who need to print out their schedules regularly. Signature requirements on Shift. So look, this isn't a feature that's hugely used in Australia, although I kind of find it interesting that it isn't, because the NDIS does sort of say that you should collect signatures if you can, and ShiftCare does offer that option. So we already have this feature. It's in the premium plan. Essentially, staff, when they're on a shift, can go into the shift and go down to signatures, and they can collect a signature. We've added the ability to do a staff signature and a client signature. So you might want staff to sign off and say, yep, I did this. This is exactly what I did. And then you want clients to say, yep, the staff member was here and did the shift. Now, it's this part here as well that we've added. So you can make it a requirement. So when they clock out, they can't clock out unless they've actually had the carer, the client, sign on the shift. So yeah, that's what that option is. Again, not widely used in Australia, but it's there if you want to use it. Care plans. So yeah, when Ian and I were going through the list of things that I was going to show, we got to the bottom of the list, like care plans and medication tracking. We're like, oh my goodness, they are massive features that you could probably do a webinar just on those features. So look, I think that will be good. We are still working on next phases of both of those features. So we have a phase 2 of care plans and a phase 2 of medication tracking already being developed. So I think once those are out, we probably will, once we have a few more features in it, we will do webinars just on these features alone. But let's have a quick look at care plans and how they work at the moment. So when you go into a client, you'll see up the top here now we have like care plans and medication plans, and then you've got goals and tasks. And those are kind of, those goals are related to the care plans, and those tasks are related to the well, that's related to another feature we've got coming that we've actually, did we release that this month? I might have missed that off my list. The coordination tasks. But let's go back to Brad and let's go to care plan. So yes, you can create care plans now. These care plans are, instead of trying to do tasks on each shift individually, that you're trying to get staff to like work towards this goal, because obviously, and I always talk about this, carers aren't there to be babysitters. They're there to help your clients achieve their goals, and there's always an overarching goal that's attached with care plans and service agreements and stuff like that. So it's like, how do we ensure that their staff are A, cognizant of the fact that they're supposed to be working towards these goals, but also B, put the tracking in, tell us how did they do that in this shift. And so you can create a plan. So let's have a look at this plan. So we can say, yep, these are the dates of the care plan. I also want to review this, so you'll get a notification to have a look at it. It might be mid-plan that you're like, hey, let's have a look and see how this plan's going. Are we getting anywhere near our plans? Are the staff actually doing the stuff that they're supposed to do? And then you've got this focus area. So what are the, and again, we did have it called diagnoses, so it could be related to that. But essentially, yeah, you put in the areas of that you want to focus on for that client and things that you want to deal with. And then within those focus areas are going to be your goals and your tasks. So our goal is to interact more with the community. And so you might have a description here that tells them how to get to those how to maybe not so much how to get to the goals, but more like, what do we mean by that goal and how do you track percentages on that? Because you have the option to do percentages or just comments on the shift. I like the percentage idea. It sort of tells the carers that that is a goal that we're trying to get to, and have you seen improvement in that? So tell us that you've seen improvement with that by putting the percentage up. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then you've got the tasks. So these are the tasks that are put on every shift. And it's that reminder of, hey, we've got tasks that need to be done as part of this care plan. And so, yeah, you can create a task. You can make them mandatory or not mandatory if you want. In terms of what shows on the app with that, you do go to a shift, and then there is a tasks section. And we've still got the initial shift tasks, which is the old school tasks that we have, and you can still add tasks to that because there might be still things that they have to do on a Wednesday that's completely not related to the care plan. They just need to take the rubbish bins out or something like that. But then you've got this care plan section here. And so, yeah, you can put times in and look at the moment. There's still more, like I said, there's a phase 2 coming out. So we are iterating on this and we're making it better. We just wanted to make sure that you guys could get started, but putting your care plans in and stuff like that. But essentially you can say that it's an afternoon task, how often it needs to be done. And then you can see when was the last time it was done. Oh goodness, I'm supposed to do this every week, but it was 9 days ago that it was last done. So I need to do that today. This is where you can put in, so you tick to say you've done it, you can put a comment in it. And then with the interact with community, I saw another, it went up to 10%, had a great outing. So yeah, of course, we'd love feedback. Anyone that's using care plans, let us know where we're nailing it and where we're not quite hitting the goals, that how you guys want to use it. Because yeah, we're just we've gone through with a lot of feedback with clients on this one, but we love more feedback, and feel free to email me any feedback, paul@shiftcare.com. I'll always make sure it gets to the people that need to hear it. And again, we're always iterating on this stuff. We don't think anything's finalized when we do it. We're always happy to go back to it. So yeah. Thanks for the nice comment, Ricky. That was really lovely. All right, so that's care plans, medication tracking. Someone said medication tab's not showing yet. I thought we turned that on, didn't we? I thought that was on. Is that on? Is anyone else seeing medication plan? Not seeing medication plans in their it's only premium plans. It needs to be activated in settings, does it?
Yeah, I think that's right, Paul. But I do believe it is live on premium.
Let me check there is an article for this medication tracking. Yeah, so you need to go to account and settings, and then you need to turn on medication tracking in the settings. So I assume that that's turned on for my account, obviously. Let's have a look. Yeah, there it is there. So maybe that's it. If you don't see it in the settings though, definitely let support know, but it should be there if you're on the premium plan. So again, this is our first iteration. By the way, we saw someone in chat, Jonathan, saying coordination task is in beta. That's Jonathan, who is one of our product owners, and he has designed a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today. So round of applause for Jonathan. He's doing a great job, and he's been super busy, and he's going semi crazy. I think I was having a conversation with him today and was worried about his sanity, but I think he's doing an amazing job. So big ups to John. So let's have a look. Medication tracking. I got to remember how this works. So we have, again, this is going to take us a few more phases to get this exactly where we want it. But again, we're kind of this thing where like we don't have anything at the moment. So what do we do? We wait 4 months while we're coding the whole thing before we show any of you guys, or do we let you get started and putting medications in for now, and then we'll add more alerts and more things into it so that you can have the extra features as we go? And so that's where we're at the moment. So the first thing is you need to go into settings. So it's in account, and then, geez, I'm going to have to look at the doc. Oh, it's on the left. There it is, medication management on the left-hand side. So this is where you can create actual medications, right? So it's going to take you a bit of time to go through and add all the medications that you need. And that's part of why we wanted to just get this out while we're still going through phase 2 and 3, so that you can start that sort of back-end admin work to at least get this functional when we do have all the rest of the bells and whistles that you need. And yeah, cool. Importing a CSV is coming. Thanks, John. That will be good. So you go in and you put in your medications, and then once you've got those medications, you can go into a client, you can go to medication plan, and you can add a medication plan. I might just get rid of that one. Wow. Okay, I can't get rid of that one. Jono, maybe take a note of that one. Let's open this up then and have a look. So you can create a medication plan. So you search for the medication. And within that creating of that medication, by the way, I did need to put all the different dosages that you would have and whether it's a cream, whether it's topical, all that kind of stuff. You put the start date in of the plan. You put the instructions in. You can add conditions, needs to be with food or without food. You can also put the volume in, and then you can say what time. And I think this is the part where people are like, well, hang on, I'm putting in 1:30. Why is it going to alert our staff member at 1:30 to say, hey, you got to take that medication or your client's got to take that medication? That's that phase 2 that we're looking at for push notifications for ShiftCare. So I think, and when I say like, oh, it's phase 2, is it going to be next year? No, it's currently being coded now and it should be out in a few weeks. So yeah, I hate giving dates because it depends on testing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're at a situation now where you can go in and start creating all the medications and getting all that stuff done, because once you've put in these times and stuff, it will show notifications in a few weeks to your carers. And also ShiftCare just doesn't do it anyway at the moment, so it's not worse than it was before. At least it's got a time showing in the app for now. We've got the drawing here, so you can tell them where to put the cream and all that kind of stuff. And then yeah, when you're in a shift, and it popped up as when I was doing a shift before, but I'll get it to do it again. Um, there was a bit of a bug with it duplicating. So mine is duplicated, but it's not duplicated, I believe, in the live version of ShiftCare now. So it will show like 3 in there at the moment, but it will only show 1 on your own account. And you can see, so yeah, this is the need to know pop up, and then it shows the medications after that, or it's made a liar out of me. I think I've already played around with this shift. So that might be why, because it's saying it's been given. But essentially, it shows them times that they need to be giving and what the different dosages are and all that kind of stuff, and they can click on it. Yeah, I'm not showing that well. Let me see if I can find the app doc. That's going to be better. So yeah, they can click in, it'll show them the different medications. They can click into more details, which it then shows them, and they can click, oh, it's due now, has been given. That's how they can access it. And then they can they click log now to log the thing, and they can say that they've either given it, refused it, or missed it. And then yeah, it's pretty cool. It's certainly like, again, love feedback. Send us your feedback, paul@shiftcare.com. It's still a work in progress, but it's going to be an excellent addition to ShiftCare for sure. Cool, that's my list done. I think what I'll do now is start hitting through the Q&A, which we've had 27 questions so far. Wow. And Ian, you've already answered 12 of them. Thank you. Good job. Maybe 10 of them were, is this being recorded? But we'll see. All right, let's have a look. Is unavailability edit coming soon? Really need unavailability to have an edit feature so I don't have to bulk delete unavailability and put it back just to change one day or one shift. I hear you, Sam. I don't know where that is. Maybe we need to, John, if you're still watching, let's put that on the list to make sure that we have got our October roadmaps pretty locked in at the moment, but we might be able to slip something into November or December to get that done. Because yes, that is a pain, especially yeah when you've got like, I just want to not. By the way, I think you can. It's probably worth mentioning that even if you have a recurring unavailability, you can, so let's say I create a unavailability and I repeat it weekly on a Tuesday, starting next Tuesday. I'm looking at the wrong date. Right. All right. So I've got this unavailability here, and it's recurring unavailability. I'm pretty sure if you, oh, I've made a liar of myself. I thought there was a decline button up here. All right, let's look at that. We'll definitely look at that, and I totally agree with you. That's going to be a pain. So I'll get that done as soon as possible. Will there be a search function coming for the Teams chats? We are in them all day, and it makes a lot of time to constantly scroll through, look for the correct group chat. Yeah, I think that there was one of the product owners was writing up a few tickets for some improvements to chats. One of them is the ability to search for the different kinds of chats, but also within the chat to search for words and stuff within the chat. I think there's also other things like being able to make like the general chat to be a broadcast channel so that other people can't write in it. I think that would be awesome because that general chat's pretty wild. It's huge. If you've got 200 staff and then they're all chatting in there, it's just too much. So we're going to have the option, I think, to be able to make it a broadcast channel where only admins can write into it. So that'll be good. So yes, that's coming. I can't give you a date on it, but it's definitely coming. In scheduler, can we please get the invoice setting for travel mileage, transport, and travel time to default to what we select in the client information? Hey, Libby, thanks for the question. We have a project that we're scoping out right now to redo the invoice mileage stuff because look, split mileage is cool. It does add a lot of functionality, but the feedback that we got from Day Dot is it's just too difficult for carers to fill it out correctly. It takes admin time, heaps of work. They can't see the information that they need. It just needs and we hate from a development point of view having two types of mileage because it just makes it super hard when we release a feature. Like we released this mileage verification feature recently, but we didn't release it to work with split mileage because it's two types of mileage. It's twice the development work. So we just want to have one mileage feature that just is customizable and has all the information you need, and you can either show things that you want to show to your carers or you don't show it. And so that from our point of view, from support, we're just supporting one type of mileage, and it's just going to work for everybody. So we are completely revamping mileage. I will factor in my thoughts what you're saying there to have it pre-defaulting from the client settings because you might say 20 kilometers is the most, and 15 minutes. Why do I have to type it in every time? I just wanted to do it from the client's profile. So yeah, I'll factor that in. It would be great to have a feature that could lock shifts in or provide a time frame around the shift. 30 minutes flexible as rostering is a mammoth job and can be hard to remember if a client doesn't like shift changes. Yeah, so what like just sort of saying don't muck around with this. You might have multiple staff working doing the rostering, and people are moving things around, and the client it sort of triggers the client off a bit. Yeah, that's good feedback. I'll keep that in mind and see if we can look at something like that. With the new break time feature, if admin staff are already scheduled with the old feature, will their standard break for their standard break, will switching the new feature recognize this, or we need to reschedule these shifts? I actually can't remember, Emily. I feel like we did factor in that. I think what we did was if it was a 30-minute break, it put it in as a flexible 30 minutes because there was an option when I was putting in those break times to either be a fixed time or to be a flexible time. I'm pretty sure that we did that. Maybe can you shoot me an email, paul@shiftcare.com, and I'll just confirm that on one of my test accounts just so because yeah, the only way you're going to be able to test it is by actually flicking it on, which would be bad if it didn't do that. So yeah, shoot me an email and I'll follow up on that. Can the break option be used if the clock in feature is not used? Still learning about all the features, so a bit of a novice in some regards. Plus, we're a relatively small business, doesn't need to have some features. I think you can still do the breaks, but I'll be honest, Narelle, I think my biggest advice would be, even if you're a small business, that you absolutely should have your staff clocking in and clocking out is one of the fundamental ways that you can prove to the NDIS that you did deliver the services that you delivered. So my answer to that would be is just use the clock in feature, but you definitely I think you can still do the breaks. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. You might have to give it a test, or maybe I can give it a test and I'll let you know. Are there any plans to change the calendar print to not include cancelled services? No, because I didn't know it did that. That's a good question, Leah. Can you send me an email to remind me to talk to you about that? And I'll maybe you can tell me a client that you've cancelled a shift on, and I'll have a look and we'll have a quick chat to the devs and see. That sort of makes sense to me to not show that, because that might get confusing because they might think they've still got the shift on. Hopefully it shows at least in a different color or something like that. Yeah, let me know. I'll have a look. The updates are amazing for continual improvement, but gosh, you guys are making so much work for us all. Yeah. Um, Emily, that's definitely, I mean, we've got so much work as well, but I totally understand where you're coming from. I'm actually talking, we are slowing down a little bit. Like, we have had a massive run because there was just a bunch of things that were like, we have to be able to do these things, but we are going to slow down a little bit. But one thing that I've been talking about is I'm talking to the marketing team about how I can build a list where I can email people and email you guys that want to know ahead of before a feature comes out, just so you can pre-warn your staff or update your training manuals and all that kind of stuff. Because yeah, it can be a bit of a show, especially I think unavailability and availability was one where we really upset a lot of people because we didn't tell you it was coming. We just added this feature. Staff didn't know how to use it. People were adding availability. They didn't know why they were putting in availability. It was a bit of a mess. So we acknowledge that and we apologize for that. And I'm definitely part of my launch thing now is like, okay, do I need to send an email out a couple of days at least before this comes out to just say, hey, this is a feature that's going to be coming out. This is what's going to change. You might need to have a look at that and tell your staff. For example, we do have one coming out very soon that I'm going to be emailing about. We're updating the client profiles to have a lot more fields on them. So we're going to have a lot more customizable fields. So we're adding to the demographic detail a whole bunch of fields here. So it's not going to change any of the data that you already have, and we're not removing any of the fields that you already have. So it's not going to cause any problems on that. But it might be when you've got staff that their job is to create client profiles, they're going to be like, oh, what do I put in here? I've never seen this field before. So we want to tell you what the fields are going to be that are coming, and then you can be ready for that when that change comes in. So yeah, thanks, Emily. Great feedback. It is in a way, it's a good problem to have. I'd rather be dealing with the fact that there's too many new features and we're trying to get around it than no features, but it's still a problem and we want to make sure we lessen that as possible. When are the coordination tasks is going to in place? Yeah, well, coordination tasks. So that was one I didn't really, I kind of, I forget where this is at from a development perspective, but I think we're on phase 2, but we wanted to wait until phase 2 was done before we released it because we didn't feel like phase 1 had enough to release it. But coordination tasks is going to be, it's essentially a combo of like just tasks for admin staff, but also the ability for support coordinators to put tasks in and say, I've got to email this client, I've got to call this person, and then they can make it a billable task that then charges the client. So we're moving away from having to create shifts for support coordination and going to a task management system. So yeah, I think we're not too far away. I think I don't want to give a date, but weeks at worst, weeks. So yeah, it's not far away at all. Off topic with the family portal and the changes to home support program, if we add a master email address for a brokered aged care agency for access, do we need to invite for each client? Yes, you still need to invite for each client. There's also been some issues with that. I need to have a look and see where that's sitting at the moment, but the family portal definitely has a way to switch. So you can see here that I've got a switch, but at the moment it switches between agencies. But my argument is that a lot of the time it's the same provider. They just have multiple clients within the same provider, which is exactly what you're talking about. So it should be a switch client. It should be a switch participant. option, not a switch agency. So that's the little update we've got to do on that. So, but yes is the answer to that. Can the medication form be done by a client with their prescriptions, or it is only by medication name? Um, I mean, the form, it's not really a form. It's like a task, I guess you could more liken it to, but it's done by the carer, like to say that that the client's taken that. Um, I guess you can call them I mean, technically it's medication name, but you can call it whatever you want. So maybe have a play with it and see whether you can make it do what you want to do there. But if you can't, let me know, like, and tell me what you need to do and why you need to do it, and then we can look at it as we iterate on that feature. Will this enable us to run reports on medication administration? That's a good question. Jono might be able to advise in the chat about whether or not we've got reporting in phase 2 or phase 3 of medication tasks. Yep, reports are coming. Awesome, thank you. With the printable client schedules, would love an option to redact staff last names. Yes, I'm always talking about that. And you'll see I made that done in the family portal where it doesn't show the full name. It just shows the initial of the first name. Great feedback, Caleb. Caleb, I will definitely can you do me a favor and just email me, paul@shiftcare.com with that? Because I want to say that I'll do it, but I probably forget, but I definitely think that's important. Would also love this option for exporting client comms too. Yeah, that's a good point. Email me about both of them, mate, and I'll see what I can do on that. I think that's good ideas. Is there any leave feature coming soon so the staff can apply for leave in ShiftCare and select leave types? Yeah, I want to say that yes, we like I spoke to the CEO Matt about this a couple of weeks ago, and we definitely know we need to have a leave. Like unavailability is cool and all, but doesn't link with payroll, and you don't know how many hours of leave they've got and all that kind of stuff. So we definitely do want to do that. It's just a matter of getting capacity and time to get that done. But I think at the time he was like, oh, we'll do it by the end of the year. But even at the time, I was like, I can't see where that fits in the roadmap where we have time for that. So I would probably more tentatively say it's looking around the Q1, Q2 next year. But definitely something we want to do. It's on the radar. Will medication feature cut down how many tablets have been given? For example, Box had 50, but only 30 have been administrated. Maybe tricky for support workers who aren't administrating every day. Will it count down how many tablets are being given? That's a good question. I don't think it will do that, but that might be something we need to factor in a future um, feature, because yeah, that's phase 4. There you go. How many phases have we got? Phase 47. What are we going to do in that phase? No, 99. Yeah. Cool. That's good. Well, Jono's already onto it. He knows that needs to come, so that's awesome. Do you develop a medication plan for the client, or do you need to create a medication form? No, you create a medication plan, and then it will then put the pop-ups and they fill it all out, and then you can report on that from within the shift. Can we suggest a feature where a list of plan managers is made? We need to select plan manager client profile save it each time. I know it's insane. I was talking about this last week or the week before as well. I'll be honest though, again, I don't know that that's going to be something we're going to get onto in the short term, just because like I know it's annoying and it is a lot of extra work, but it's like we could do that or we could do, medication tracking or care plans. And it's like I'd rather do care plans than worry about that. But I also know that it is like really frustrating. So hopefully it's something we can get to, but I don't think it's in the short term roadmap. Hi, Ian. Please send link for tutorial where we find the settings for display names. Cool, Ian. I'll leave that with you. Is there a
Yeah,
way that you
thanks.
can create a client list per care manager with the team settings? I don't know. You were typing. Are you typing on that one, Ian?
Oh, sorry, Paul. You go ahead. I'll
Okay, I don't know
yeah,
the answer. Is
thanks.
there a
I've
way
got a
you can
few of
create
these.
a client list per care manager with the team settings. I don't
Um,
know.
Sorry, Paul. I'm thinking there client types is an account setting. So you can create different client types, and then on the client list page, you can do a search. That was my
Yeah,
thinking there.
or are they wanting to get a list of the teams for each care manager? Maybe you could go to teams and list, and then this kind of gives you a list of all the like you could print screen of this one. I don't think we have like a report per se, but this would give you a list of all the teams and who the clients are within each team. So maybe that helps, but yeah. Um, Medications have now been turned on. Thank you. What about the tasks? How do I turn it on? Yeah, the tasks is not available yet. We're still just finishing some development on that. So we'll tell you when that comes out. But yeah, not out yet. Um, can we have the invoice side of the roster advanced data only for admin who we give access to, as we created custom admin as they need to change is the staff side or time? Yeah, that's not possible at the moment. I know Jono and I are constantly complaining about advanced edit and that whole like single is simple edit versus advanced edit and how we can just make that whole flow better. So that's probably something we'll look at. But yeah, at the moment there's no way to limit permissions down to that granular level. I'm thinking if you can add an extra feature or option for the management to turn on when the time in and out of the support worker will generate a code sent to the participant representing advising of the start time and end time of the service, and that code needs to be given to the support worker as approval that the service has been provided. Wow. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, it sounds cool, but I'm not sure whether that's something that the NDIS says that we should be doing, or yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll put it down as a feature idea, but I'm not sure if that's something we'll be looking at. Are there any plans to expand functionality for NDIS group activity shifts, automating ratios, adding capital center costs? Brad, yes, I did. You've reminded me that I wrote up a ticket about this because group shifts are a nightmare when you have like 10 participants in them and you need to charge center capital costs and non-face to face. And I'd had designs done where you could tick up the top and say charge center capital costs, and it would do it to all clients without having to do it individually on each client. I'm not sure what happened with that. Do you mind sending me an email to just let me keep you in the loop on what I'm doing with that? Because that'll remind me to keep pushing for it as well. Because yes, I would really like to see that. I'll add that um, to my list of Paul wants stuff because yeah, it was designed and ready to go. So yeah, thank you. Hi, Ian. This doesn't really do what we want. The worker compliance report is perfect as it shows our worker compliance status for the whole team at a glance. I know exactly what you're talking about. You want it from the client's perspective. It's on our list. We definitely want to do that um, at a glance, like exactly the same as the staff thing. So yes, we do want to do that. I don't want to say when we'll do that, but we definitely it's something we want to do. Forms, can they pull in the client info when attached to the client? Doesn't have to be entered again. Yes, please. God, oh, I want that so bad. Yes, I am pushing for that again. Like, and I think you guys can even see from all the questions we're getting and all the feature requests, it's like, yeah, I'd love to do all this stuff, but when do we do it? And we got to prioritize, and we've got a bunch of gaps in the software. So, yes, that has been on my list of form updates, and it is in the list of our future development work that we want to do, but it's just a matter of when do we slot that in. So, but yeah, watch this space because I definitely want that. Loving customized forms and being able to create customized progress notes. We want to make this mandatory for each participant. What happens on a group shift? I think you need to turn off mandatory to avoid not being able to. Yeah. Hey, Paul. I think you're the Paul I've been chatting to. We talked exactly about this. Yeah, it's a real pain. Because you've ticked it on the client's profile that it's mandatory when the shift is created, it will also have that tick box. So you would need to edit the shift and take that tick box off if you don't want them to have to fill out each shift. I do agree that that's probably something we should look at to make that a bit easier for that use case. Client medical notes, is there a way to keep these separate from progress notes so they're easier to find. Yeah, I guess I'll let Jono take that as feedback and have a look at how I can't remember off the top of my head how the notes get attached to the client's profile and whether they're just added as notes on the communications log. But yeah, maybe we should have a new category for that as medication note, so that we can filter by that and then yeah, make it a lot easier. Great feedback. That's the kind of great feedback that's great to email to paul@shiftcare.com, because yeah, we inevitably we've never thought of every single use case, and some of them are more obvious than others. Like that one's a pretty like, well, of course I need to report on that, but sometimes we just we miss things, so we definitely want to hear from you guys. Forms, is there a way to have a specific notification on a form for a staff member when a form is completed so the notification doesn't go to the email or the account that created the form? At the moment, no, the forms only go to whoever created the form, which I know is not great. So that's something we need to get to fix up at some stage. Ultimate dream, specific words are used in the chats to indicate someone cannot make a shift, and another indicates they are available. Then the roster automatically changed. That would be cool. That is a dream. Yeah, maybe when we get AI a bit better and we start using that for the chats or something. Yeah, definitely would be cool. Is there a way to link a billing contact to a certain price book? Our SIL participants are NDI managed. At the moment, billing contacts aren't, but I'm desperately pushing that through to get looked at in November, because we did that thing where on a price book you can put it to a certain payment type, which is great. But then when you go to invoice, it's still just putting them all on the one billing contact, which is silly because that was the whole point of wanting to split them up. So think of what we did with the pay types as phase one. And we are going to go back to that, and we're going to allow multiple billing contacts against certain pay types so that you can automate your billing a lot faster. So yes, we will get to that for sure. Oh, can we have an approval process turned off on forms? It confuses staff if we're not administrating this process. Yes, I think we either need to do that or have an option to not show the status to the staff. Because yeah, you're right. Most people don't approve their forms. So that's not unusual, but it would be a bit off-putting if it just said pending or whatever it says when you put the form in. So yeah, good feedback, Paul. I'll look at that. Okay, thank you. That's amazing. How did we go? How many people do we have in here? 82 still here. Well done for lasting the long haul. Thank you everyone for coming. Yeah. Someone's asked quickly, is there a way to hide archived forms? No, I think the problem there is more so that when you go to forms, it shows you all statuses. I don't think it should show archived in all statuses. I think they took that really literally when they did that. It should still hide probably archived, and then you could look at archived if you want to. But if you choose like published or responses received, it won't show the archived ones. But yeah, that's it. Otherwise, if you really don't need it anymore, you could delete it, but it will delete the responses that you got. So don't do that unless you don't care about the responses. Thank you all. Lovely to have you all join us. Please email me if you've got any feedback. Yeah, thanks guys. I love doing these sessions. So, and join us for the Zero if you use Zero in a couple of weeks, and we'll just keep trying to punch out some more webinars. Thank you. Thanks,
Thanks very
Ian.
much, Paul.